Hello. This video today is for those who have suffered from anxiety, who are experiencing the world through a lens of fear. And essentially, that's what anxiety is. Anxiety is being caught in a loop where we project the past and things that haven't been so favorable in our experience into the future and create fantasies and illusions of what we imagine will continue to happen in our lives. And of course, the whole time we're not being present. So we're not actually being in the real, in the now moment. We're living in a world of illusion. And that's essentially what anxiety is it's fear. And so I'm going to really look at anxiety today, though, from a spiritual perspective, because we've all heard, well, most of us have all heard of techniques and tools to overcome anxiety in the three-dimensional world. And so before I go into the spiritual aspects of it, it is important to address our three-dimensional struggles. Instead of just bypassing them. That's what spiritual bypassing is. We do need to cast light on actual issues that we are being faced. And if you look at my video I made yesterday or 2 days ago, I cover the fundamentals of how our lens of perception can become disempowering. And this is essentially what causes anxiety in the first place, is a lens of perception of the world that it is a scary place, that it is a struggle street. And this is made up of our beliefs and our values and our memories and experiences. And so we create this lens and we see life as hard. And we continue to project that into a future scenario, worst case scenario. And this is all based on the illusion of fear. And so it's important to address our neural wiring, the way our mind has been programmed, if we do really want to operate with more freedom, more sovereignty in this three-dimensional experience. We do need to face our shadows. We do need to do inner child work and face traumas and rewire some of these aspects of our behavior so that we aren't running around in circles against the same struggles. But when we're moving to a wider perspective of what anxiety is, we need to look at beyond just the formula and the strategies that were given in the three-dimensional world for dealing with anxiety. And what I've been shown, because my experience has been with anxiety in my past, and I still have experiences of anxiety here and there. And what I've been shown is that when we've put so much effort into the doing of treating anxiety, we've done our shadow work, and it's obviously like it's layers of an onion. There's always more in shadow work to do while we're in this three-dimensional realm. We will never reach perfect in the eyes of the three-dimensional because we live in a duality. There's always going to be contrast in our lives. And so continuing to do the work is important, but once we've done that, we need to realize the bigger picture is that we need to be able to see that we can step out of the three-dimensional. And this is the key, I believe, when we truly want to be free of the patterns of anxiety, to understand that anxiety lives in the three-dimensional realm. And we have the power as sovereign beings of pure unconditional love. We have the ability to reconnect fully with our creator, with our divine parents, through the process of stepping out of the illusion of this three-dimensional realm, realizing, remembering that we are not human beings, we are just having a human experience, and spending time with the creator, with the divine, in communion. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's in formal meditation, but it usually is. And this is the key. So when we're doing a formal meditation practice, we are consciously deciding to step out of the three-dimensional realm, which is all of our thoughts. Mind creates this reality, our mind first. And so stepping out of the mind means stilling the thoughts. It means quietening. that internal dialogue that is really just programming, and going into the stillness. So the throne of stillness, where the Creator can direct our actions and we are given wisdom, intuition, intelligence, and guidance. But most importantly, we get to spend time in the grace of this experience of bliss. We get to step out of the struggle and enslaved paradigm that we are stuck here, and we get to remember that we are multidimensional. We live outside of time and space. This is all an illusion while we're here. So what I'm trying to say is, when you meditate, you get to a point of realizing that you are not a human, and you reconnect with your divine essence, remembering you're a child of the Creator. And this is where grace meets us halfway. This is where the Creator sees that we've made conscious effort to reconnect and commune with our Creator, with our parents, and we receive that grace. And that's where our mind can become still, and we step out of the illusion, the duality, and we experience bliss. Now, it's hard for me to describe bliss. It's not really something that the human language has been able to put into words. It's something we really need to have a direct experience with. But once you do, you'll have a taste of this pure love experience. And this is the point I'm driving down to, is that love is the answer to anxiety. This is what I've been shown very directly. Jesus talks about how important it is to love God with all of your heart, and to then love your neighbor equally with that same fierceness and intensity of love. But this is not an ordinary love for a personality. This is a far greater love. This is the love. This is the essence of who you really are. This is not a conditional love. It doesn't depend on any external factors. Because we experience this love when we step outside of the 3D reality into a place that does not have time and space, we realize there are no conditions out here. It is just pure love. It is the building blocks of reality, of who, the essence of who we are. And so when we experience that, we remember, and we build a muscle. The more we have intentional time and communion with God, the more we build that muscle of remembering who we are. And the more our thoughts and our mind-body complex begins to fade into the background and become less important. And you might ask, well, how do you function in the world if you've let go of all of these mind-body issues that we have to experience? Well, actually, you function far more efficiently when you let go of all of those thoughts that are constantly running around in your mind. Because, as I mentioned, you receive a stream of grace from the Creator, and that is guidance, wisdom, intuition, and intelligence, as I mentioned. And this sets a path in your life where you experience ease and flow. And as you begin to walk this practice in your life, you have more and more evidence that this is the only way to truly be in love with peace. Anxiety has no room when we really make love our highest priority. Now, one of the little practices I find very practical is for people who are anxious, we tend to be up here all the time. Now, when we overthink, we underfeel. Remember that. So often what I find is if I'm catching myself overthinking, I can often feel it, tension here. People with anxiety tend to build these muscles up so strong. You can even feel pain when you touch them sometimes. But just put your hand here. This is a physical anchor. This is great if you're a kinesthetic person, if you really need to be hands-on to learn things. If you are a tradie or someone who feels a lot, and if this is your kind of personality, then this is going to be very helpful. So put your hand on your forehead where you feel that you're overthinking, where you're getting caught up in anxiety loops, fears, overthinking. And just then run that hand down and consciously go with that feeling until you get to your heart. Then you can put both hands on your heart. And what we're doing is we're recognizing through a conscious practice that we need to move down to the heart. This is the seed of love. Moving to the heart creates courage, cur meaning heart. We move to a place where we can commune with God. The heart field. The heart field connects us directly to source. This is where we receive our feed of love. This is the medicine that we need for anxiety. This is actually just us realizing who we really are again. And we do that physically to anchor that in. And then we can just think of something that reminds us of love. And it could be something in the three-dimensional experience. It might be love for your parents, or love for a little child, or an animal, or just love for the sun rising or setting, or the ocean. But it needs to be something that elicits that feeling of love. Now, ultimately, after a lot of practice of doing this, you start to recognize where the source of this love is in your divine parents. Whoever you label the creator, the universe, God, source, the divine spirit, however you label it. Words are limiting, but we understand and we feel that this is where love comes from. And so eventually you might have a visual or something that anchors you to that recognition of where that source really is. Instead of having to think about things in the three-dimensional, you just feel that love coming directly from source. And it becomes, like I said, you build this practice up like a muscle. Our brains are our tools to help us create habits in our lives that will strengthen our spiritual life. And so really the number one focus in our spiritual journey is love that we really are, pure loving awareness. And so this is for people with anxiety today, but of course this is going to help everybody in their reconnecting with the fundamentals on the spiritual journey. And that is that we are love, and just by simply going to that place of feeling that love in your heart, you cannot feel anxiety. You look behind the veil and see all of the illusions of these thoughts and this three-dimensional experience drop away, because you're remembering and seeing who you really are behind all the illusion, that you are love. And anxiety doesn't have a place where who you really are is. It's all part of the three-dimensional experience. So practice this. It really works. And you will find over time that it becomes your default. And that's a wonderful thing, to have a practice of loving your creator and your fellow human being with the same love. Because ultimately what we realize is we see that there's a soul behind every human avatar, and that soul is also a child of the divine. And so we begin to see through our spiritual eyes when we operate in love. When we walk in love, we begin to see through spiritual eyes, a new higher perception. The veil has been lifted. We can see that our fellow neighbor, our friends, our family, even strangers out there, they all are sparks of the creator. And we can see that. And this takes off a lot of the pressure, because people with anxiety, we tend to create horror stories in our mind. We have beautiful active imaginations. And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do in order to feel worthy. And the thing is, when you finally recognize who you really are, you realize that there's nothing to do. There's absolutely nothing that needs to be done. You can just be. And you can be at peace with that. In fact, it is peace. It's pure peaceful to be. And so I hope this video is encouraging. Anxiety is absolutely something that's just a three-dimensional experience that will fall away as you become closer to in your relationship with the Creator. And I've done a video about creating a best friend relationship with your Creator, or a beloved relationship with your Creator, so that is your core relationship. And it's not a human relationship, so it goes beyond time and space. It's a beautiful experience that's worth building and making part of your life here. So please like, subscribe, and share if this message resonates. And I'd love to hear comments if you have anxiety, and some of the spiritual tools you've been using to assist you as well. Have a beautiful day. See ya.